First and foremost, let me tell you, I'm very, very excited about this conversation because here is someone who is challenging our fundamental assumptions about technology and human connection. You know, when we all see AI as a tool for automation, Jo Aggarwal is seeing its potential to be there for people in their darkest moments. And her journey to founding Wysa is as fascinating as her vision. From corporate consulting at McKinsey to e-learning initiatives to building what is now the world's largest AI mental health platform, supporting 6 million users globally. But what strikes me most about Jo is her audacity to reimagine not just how we deliver mental health support, but how we think about emotional connection itself. You know, while we are constantly thinking that will AI, reduce our human-to-human connection and will not be able to make up for that emotional support that we need from one another, she's daring to envision and build a solution that's making mental health supported to millions globally using that same technology. And today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that journey. So Jo, Vysa's journey is of course a testament to the audacity to dream and the impact of using AI for social good. So let's first begin from exploring about how did this dream start? Like what inspired you to take on this challenge after all the other challenges you had taken off previously?
Okay, I'm going to start maybe with the idea of changing the world. Maybe start a little earlier. Because I think for all of us, we get shaped when we're in college. And we get shaped with the idea that we can make a difference that is larger than us. So way back in college where, went to IIT, where girls were told that they're visitors. That was a joke that freshers would be told, that what's a girl in IIT, she's a visitor. So trying to just change, by beating the men at their own game, by winning the trophy from them, our own personal chichore going on with the girls' hostel and achieving it over 4 generations of 4 years of women, all of whom are still great friends, all of whom are founders, all of whom are each other's scaffolding still. And even as I was beginning Wysa, this group of women that we did that with, and I was walking out of a non-profit job where I'd tried to change the world and I'd felt that I'd achieved a lot, but I was coming back into India. And I wasn't sure who I was anymore in this new setup. And we all have a crisis of confidence. So I think it started there by meeting these women, Ramya, who runs Senta, Pooja is the CEO of Udeti. But they were just my friends from college, and they were reminding me who I was and what I could do. And with that, I wanted to change the world, not necessarily in mental health. I founded a company in elder care, did not find product market fit, went into depression, decided that I'd been an imposter through my life. I had only told stories, that was going to fail no matter what I do. I'm just really good at storytelling, so that's why I get away with it. In that moment of crisis of confidence, believing that I should really not be allowed to have people follow me, I asked myself, look, okay, if you're going to fail at whatever you do, what are you willing to fail at doing? And I think my audacity to dream came from there. What am I willing to fail at doing if it's guaranteed that I'm willing to fail? And since I was coming out of my own depression, and of course this product brain always has ideas. I'm in depression, I'm looking at what's out there for people in depression. I was like, if I did it, I would have an AI bot that was like Eliza, but only wiser. And it would do this. But of course, I'm like, I should not be allowed to lead any more people into anything at the same time. So in all of this, I said, okay, maybe I will be, if I was guaranteed to fail, I'll spend the rest of my life just solving global mental health. And somehow my brain is like this. If I put it out there, I know exactly how I'm going to do it. That's never been a problem. So I went in, I said, okay, that means I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, and this is how I'll solve it.
Yeah, but you chose to do it with tech and with AI. How did that happen?
I'm an engineer. So that's what we do. I've been a tech product person since the .com era. So that's how my brain works, right? So why did I think AI will do this? Because when I first encountered at age 9 a computer which was still a big one. The first thing I said to it, this lonely girl who was getting bullied in school, I was like, okay, how do I make friends? And people would then tell me, no, computers should just say 1 + 1 and it'll give you 2 or something like that. I was like, okay, that is not the promise of computing that I thought. There was this longing to connect with an intelligence that was able to hold space. Now I have the words for it because now I've been in the mental health field. So an intelligence that will hold space for you, that will allow you to navigate your own brain, figure out whether what you're going on here, all those 20,000, brains inside your brain, that's normal, not normal. What should I do about it? How do I access my more conscious self? How do I access the best in me? And I really think that other human beings have enough to deal with. If I need to talk to somebody 8 times a day, AI is my best bet. I can train it to do that for me.
How many people over here have used AI as your friend? Okay, there you go. And I'm sure that would have been a very different answer just, I think, 3 years back when, before ChatGPT came out, got AI out of the closet. Yeah. But when you started, Jo, I'm sure there were lots of naysayers. There weren't so many hands going up. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Tell us about, how people told you, this is the stupidest idea in the world and, you shouldn't do it and you're going to fail, which you anyway had assumed.
Yes, that didn't bother me as much. I think the stupidness of the idea, that's never, so before this, I was solving terrorism in the Middle East, just as a context, right? I was going into Iraq, and after I'd done all of my telecom-based USSD work, the Minister of Interior of Iraq had told me, my work is his best bet against ISIS. But I had convinced the Yemeni and the Iraqi government to let a woman in the room, to use tech, and so that is like par for the course by now. By the time I'm 50, that's like, okay, they won't know. They'll see it. That's fine. But, sorry, you had another part to your question.
So how did you manage that, though, with the naysayers? And what were all the naysaying?
There were all kinds of things. There were people who would tell us, investors who would tell us, ये चीज़ें तो MIT, Harvard में होती हैं, यहाँ थोड़ी होंगी. So there was a Bangalore naysay, right? A lot of stuff has changed in 8 years. This is 8 years ago. So, first of all, India out. Not a story. Products out of India, not a story. Woman founder didn't even come up. AI is not something that people will ever emotionally connect with. Mental health, ab diabetes kyun nahi karte? Like mental health, not a story. So we were very ancillary, and we knew that our time would come and that healthcare takes time, so we need to build evidence. So today, when everything has converged, when we are founded in India, we didn't found in Singapore, or we weren't like a US founded company, we didn't flip through all of it. But now everything has converged, it's become an asset, thankfully. But
That's incredible. So one second, so what is the asset? The asset is India founded, tech-enabled, AI, and woman founder?
And mental health.
No. And mental health, perfect.
Woman founder, gender is fine. I'm glad it inspires some other people. I'm beginning to embrace the masculine principle in this. The feminine principle has changed the world, right? Like, get an emotional connect, caregiving, figure out. So in my therapy ecosystem, there are only women therapists. It's hard to find a male therapist. So it's not so much in the mental health ecosystem, and in the healthcare ecosystem, there isn't a dearth of women. So I'm not so much sort of breaking ground there. Tech maybe, AI maybe, product maybe. But now Wysa has gone from, also social impact, plenty of women. So it's not as if purpose-driven founder, they're new women. But now we're in the middle of acquiring a US company. Now we're on path to unicorn. Now we're ambitious. It took me time to get there.
So why did it take you time to get there, Jo? And also, how did this change from an investor outlook point of view? What are your thoughts when it comes to how should investors then look at these women-founded companies?
Yeah, I think that is, I would not even say woman or men. I would say the masculine principle and the feminine principle. Like, many women will embody the masculine principle, which, if I say what is ambition, you'll say it's masculine,
Not
if
me, but okay.
But generally, the sense of a principle,
yes,
of
stereotypically, absolutely.
Monetary ambition, impact ambition. So a lot of women all around me, my batchmates, they all will talk about changing the world, and they're really good at it. So many of us are very comfortable with the idea that we'll make a difference and we'll maybe not get paid as much for it. Maybe we won't make those billions because we're not in it to compete with the next guy and the next guy. And when our peers, make their billion, we don't suddenly feel less than. So we're okay, we want to make a difference. But you have to find that motivation inside you where you feel like, oh, this baby has potential. And I feel like I found it almost like in my maternal instinct, that when you realize that your child is that bright, then you're like, my child is going to kill it. So until your child grows up and shows those signs, you don't want to put that pressure on him. So I think it was that sense of, okay, I want my child to change the world. That's why this child exists, right? But at one point, you're like, oh my God, this child should be able to be a unicorn. Then nobody else is going to do this. Then it's going to.
So, but tell me, that if you put like an investor hat on it, okay, and like you said, when you stereotypically look at women-led companies, that there's a lot of impact, purpose, all of that.
Yeah.
How do you think that would align from investors' reasons to invest, right? And how do we kind of bridge that gap?
I think we very much need more women talking about businesses that are coming not straight from the problem, but straight from the money. So if you think about a large funding round, a very good friend of mine who's a major investor explained to me how he makes investment decisions. He says, I think about it as, digging for water or digging for oil. You say, how much water is there and how far is it from the ground, and how much digging will it take? And that's not how many of us women look at our founding ideas. We don't look at how much water is there, and we don't look at how hard it is to dig. We like, however hard it is to dig, the problem needs to be solved. And we're going to solve this problem. We don't care if it's a fairly niche problem, which needs a lot of digging. While a lot of people who start with the idea of, I think there's a lot of money to be made here, start with those ideas. So I think there are many ideas that women have, but if we are framing them in that way, again, you stand in the room, you make sense to the other guy. You have to communicate better to the men or the investors in their language.
Finally, it's a sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
Like Vani and Geetika spoke so much about selling. At the end of the day, this is also a sales pitch. So, but can it be both? Do you think the investor world is ready to look at growth, valuation, also from a value, purpose point of view? And can that marriage work?
Yes, of course. I think most of the investors that I'm seeing, even the LPs, right? All of these guys have funds and all the funds have LPs. And many LPs you'll find very, very motivated by those founders who are also doing social impact. So all of our investors will put us aage, on their LP day, because the LPs feel very motivated. I gave money, I got some return, but also we saved so many lives, right? 500 people did not commit suicide because they talked to this AI chatbot. That makes a difference. Like millions of people talk to it, that's another thing. That is very valuable also when they're doing their fundraise. So you have to think about your investor, and he's going to do a fundraise, and he's going to have your pitch deck in, or she will. Yeah, I'm saying she's easy to sell to comparatively. So yes, the impact is very important, but it has to sit alongside the numbers.
So do you think that's a big strength that women founders now bring to the table, if they can be purpose-driven and profit-driven, and they can drive value and valuations?
I'd love that to be our brand. At the end of the day, people have safety cues. As an investor, your safety cues is, I've seen 10 other people who look like that, who went to this college, who look like that, who have given me a great return. If there are 10 of us who've made social impact unicorns, and they happen to be women, the next time a woman comes with a social impact story, they'll be like, oh, she's going to be the social impact. It'll be nice to have that as our brand.
And that's great. And while we are doing great, we can do some good win-win situation for all. Great. I'm going to end with my last question then for you, Jo, and which is that what is your big next audacity to dream?
It's this, it's very new to me realizing that this kid can be a unicorn. So now I'm just like fully on.
Okay, I think we're all there to support her in that journey. And Mari, I guess when she becomes unicorn, she's coming back to the stage then. All right, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Jo, for this very inspirational talk.